this presentation. We're going to ask for 2-minute closing statements, and we're going to advise you when you're 30 seconds to it. If you go to, actually, let's do 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Only 3. All right, I'm very honored to be here. And as I said in my opening statement, I'm honored to be involved with the Medicare for All, Lehigh Valley Medicare for All, and being able to do presentations to a lot of people. And a lot of folks, they ask, well, why are you doing this? Why are we talking? Why are you here talking to us? And I explained to them, look, what the goal of Lehigh Valley Medicare for All is to train as many activists and folks to present as possible. I think the goal is 1,000 folks in the Lehigh Valley. I don't know how many we have at this point, but 300. So everybody here signed up. We got 450. But at any rate, they ask why, you know, what's the goal here? And I tell them, look, the goal here is, one goal is to get you to come out and do the same thing. But the second goal is to arm you to understand, I'll say BS, the BS that the other, and myths and lies that the other side has. I mean, we have heard things that are, again, are outrageous in what they say in terms of Medicare for All. Now, one thing that has heartened me is I can think back 10, 12 years ago, this effort, this notion of single payer was laughed at. It was looked at like, you gotta be kidding me, this will never happen. You're wasting your time. The fact of the matter is, through a lot of grassroots work and effort, we are moving in the right direction. Now, I hope, I'm a strong supporter of LGBT rights, marriage equality, and my father's a 95-year-old Pearl Harbor survivor. I thought, boy, if the genes are right, if I'm 90, I may live to see marriage equality happen. And yet, it happened, and once the momentum developed, it came quickly. Now, here I stand thinking, am I going to be 90 when there's Medicare for All? With all the work that needs to be done, because we are up against powerful opponents, powerful, and they're not averse to spreading money around. We probably call them bribes, as they are called campaign contributions. The point is that I'm hoping, maybe even praying, that we have a replay with single payer, like we have with marriage equality. And if we can get that pulled off, I hope we can get this hall again, or maybe a bigger hall, and have a huge celebration, because it will indeed change the course of this country.
Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be here tonight with my fellow candidates. They're all great folks here. I think any one of us would do a great job in Washington, and I have no problem supporting anyone at this table, and will do so if I'm not the nominee of our party, as I've done for a long time. Back in 1968, I was 12 years old. That's when I started getting interested in government and politics. I got interested in Robert F. Kennedy's campaign for president that year. I followed what was going on in our country as a young kid, Vietnam raging, very scared about, you know, getting older and having a war going on. And that's how I got interested in public service, was from Robert Kennedy and Martin Luther King. And I was devastated. My mom, who's 87, will tell you today that when Martin Luther King died and Robert Kennedy in June of '68, I was like devastated. I thought our leaders and all hope was lost in our country. But I pursued a career in law and public service because of those ideals. I came out of a labor background. I've been a lifelong Democrat. I'm happy to put my checkbook next to anybody in this room as to who's donated more money to the Democratic candidates over the years for local, state, national office. I believe in the average middle-class person and helping people rise up and do better. And that's why I'm running. You know, I'm married. I have 3 grown children. Back in the 90s, when I was a young DA, when the seat opened up, people asked me to run, and I promised, my wife said, I don't want you to run, go to Washington. We have 3 kids. And I made a promise to her that I would not leave until my kids were older. And now I'm 62, and my wife said, the kids are gone, you can run, but I'm coming with you if you want. So I promised her that. But here's what we want to do. We believe in this cause. All of us here will fight for this cause, for this bill. I think that you have fine candidates, and you know, I would ask for your support. I think I have a great career that I've had here as DA. If I'm not successful, I go back and have a few more years as DA, and I'm as I said, I'll support our candidates. But I believe I have the background, I have the skill. I think that I could be a strong candidate, and the general election is going to be a hard race for any of us. You know, I don't think that I have an easy race. I think all of us will have a tough race. The Republicans are going to fight hard. But we can fix health care, and in the meantime, we ought to be doing some innovative things. Let's give more power to nurse practitioners. You know, we have a lot of nurse practitioners in Pennsylvania. There's a law now trying to give them more authority so that they can treat patients and have more access for health care. One of the things I'd like to see, which we discussed tonight, Rich, is raising the payroll tax to help fund Social Security and Medicare. You know, it's $118,000. If we raised that to $240,000, we would increase the wage base, and it would be the same wage base of 90%, which what it was in 1983 when Ronald Reagan signed that bill. So we've lost ground. It's no longer 90%. So if we raise that from 118 to 240, it's raised the payroll tax for that, we would have more money. It would help shore up Social Security and Medicare. And so we need to be innovative. Telemedicine is big now, allowing people in rural areas to get through the web. We need to be innovators. That's what I've been as DA. I've been an innovator. I told you my record of breaking barriers for folks in my office, and that's what I want to do in Washington, and I would respectfully request your support. Thank you very much.
I was worried there for a second, John. I thought your wife was going to say, I want you to go to D.C. because she's trying to get you out of the house, but I was relieved. I think we have to ask ourselves 3 questions, all right? First, why do we not have universal health care for all Americans? We're behind all the other Western countries. Why don't we have this? 2, why do we pay twice per capita for health care in this country? And 3, why do we pay so much for pharmaceuticals? I think it's become increasingly or painfully clear that the Republicans have absolutely no intention of covering all Americans. Even when the ACA was in, when Obama was in office, they were doing everything they could to undermine what they started. And now that the other side has the reins, all they worry about is tax cuts for the rich. Even the Trump care that they tried to pass was just disguised as a tax cut for the rich. It is time we now see healthcare not as a privilege, but as a right. Because if we don't, we're killing people every day. We're losing lives because of the lack of health care, and people are going into bankruptcy. We can't stand this anymore, and it's immoral to be profiting off of our sick, our disabled, and our elderly. Thank you.
So, we're here tonight having this forum because we care about healthcare, right? Right?
Yes.
Right?
Right.
It's one thing that I learned in my military service. I took part in 15 humanitarian missions in my time that I served. And in that time, that service taught me more about humanity and compassion, caring for others, putting yourself out there, and doing the right thing when no one's watching. And that's what we need in Congress. That's what leadership is. It's about doing what's right, no matter if someone's watching you or not. And having health care that will take care of everyone is morally right. And we have a moral bankrupt system in which we all live in which we are all struggling through. That is why when we have a health care, when we have a Medicare for all, which actually will represent and protect all Americans, I will support that. And it gets back to the point that she just made is, healthcare is a right. It's not a privilege. And we really need to start repeating that as a mantra over and over and over again, especially when Republicans come after it. Especially when they come after it. So, my name is David Weidman, and I stand with you.
Thank you for hosting this forum, and thank all of you for coming out on a very cold night I'm really encouraged by our democracy when I see this kind of participation. It's really a wonderful thing. I'm also very happy that we have, for the first time in a very long time, a competitive Democratic primary. I firmly believe we need to see a blue wave next year. This year. And I hope that every candidate up here will pledge to support whoever the primary winner is, because that is absolutely essential to see to that blue wave. So I come back to the principles that I told you my mother raised me on. The principles of equality and peace and fairness. And I'm reminded when I say that of a definition I once heard of a progressive. And I will tell you right now, I am a proud progressive. The definition that I heard of a progressive is somebody who cares about all others and not just about oneself. And if you have that as your guiding principle, I really believe that you cannot be led to the wrong decision in life or in Congress or in everyday decision making. Obviously, this is a healthcare forum, and it's been said, everybody up here agrees on the point that we have to stop being at the end of the line in terms of developed countries and the healthcare system that we provide. We absolutely need to become a leader in that field as well as a leader in many other fields. And I think over the course of the next 4 years, or maybe longer it's going to take, we're going to need to reverse and halt the damage that has been done to the progress that we had made over the last decade. I am firmly committed to that. You can hold me accountable. I promise, if elected, to hold regular town halls in every corner of this district, and I mean in-person town halls. None of this phony baloney, telephone town hall kind of thing. So with that said, I again thank you, and I ask you to remember the phrase that I used at the beginning of this, healthcare equality. That's really what we all deserve. And let me just ask this last question. How many people here have ever not seen a doctor, or worse yet, not taken your children to a doctor because you were worried about the cost? At least a third of the room, if not more. The fact that there's even one person raising their hand is unforgivable. We have to stop that. It can't continue.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming, and thank our host. We are at a critical juncture in our nation's history. And I'm going to suggest that it's not enough to be mad at Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not the disease. He's a symptom, but there's a greater pathology at work. It's not visionary to place him at the center of every conversation. Rabbi Abraham Heschel said, in a free society where evil exists, all are not guilty, but all are responsible. We have to take responsibility for our lack of courage, for us politicizing healthcare. While we're talking about it, some mother is waiting for a phone call from her health insurance provider on whether her son, daughter, child will be approved for a critical procedure that may extend their life. The fact of the matter is, only the privileged politicize the health of another human being. We are a nation that elected a man by the name of Barack Hussein Obama post 9/11. With a Kenyan father and a white mother from Kansas. But we also elected Donald J. Trump. Now is the time for us to be bold, for us to be courageous, for us to really put all of our chips in, for us not to necessarily prioritize polls, to not run like Republicans, or Republican-like, or Democrat-like. We are the party of expanding and knocking down the walls and building bridges between those who are different. I hope that I earn your support. I ask that you invest in me so I can work for you. Take care.